when Mr. Ferris entered his plea, I had reviewed everything that had been sent to me, and since that time, there has been loads more letters of support sent. I've read every single letter of support for both you, Mr. Ferris, and every single victim impact statement that was prepared. I just went through a case very similar to this. It was a moving violation causing death case. And in that case, the defendant opted to exercise his right to a jury trial. And it was horrific. And we had to watch video evidence in here of the scene. And ultimately, after 2 full days, a jury of his peers found him not guilty. And that case dragged on even longer than Keegan's and Payton's case. These cases are awful. I do not take this day lightly. I don't take it lightly for Keegan. I don't take it lightly for you, Payton. I have discussed this case with my loved ones. I talked about it with my daughter this morning, who gave me a big hug before she went off to middle school. Hearing you, Sharon, speak today really broke my heart, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for all of your loss. I really am. Keegan really sounds like he was an amazing guy. Really amazing guy. I got that. I want you to know I got it. I've been thinking, like last night, I didn't sleep. I was trying to think about what I could say today that might provide some measure of comfort, which is like impossible. I know that. I know there's no comfort I can give anybody in this room. But all I can say is that I hear you, and I hear what kind of person your loved ones have described you to be as well. The words that were used to describe Keegan over and over and over again were that he was funny, he was kind, he was outgoing, he was charismatic, he had a servant heart. Family meant everything to him. The words used to describe Payton were dependable, industrious, inspiring, always there if you need him, and kind. And I have no doubt that the loss of Keegan is a ripple effect, Ms. Ball. And it won't stop rippling. I believe that. And I sincerely hope that there is change that comes from the loss of Keegan. In this role, my job is to review the evidence that I have, to hear from both sides, and to look at what has been presented to me in terms of the reports, the facts as the government sees them and as the defense sees them. And I have read the reports in this case dozens of times. The Kent County Sheriff's Department did a thorough investigation in this case. There was a crash reconstruction. What could be downloaded from Payton's phone, which was everything, was downloaded. I can't draw the own conclusions as to what the facts are. I have to accept them as they have been provided to me by law enforcement. And the troopers and the experts in this case drew the conclusion that excessive speed was not a factor. And that's in the report. While yes, we all agree that Payton was on his phone, making a call 13 seconds before he struck Keegan. There's no dispute about that. His phone wasn't in his hand. He wasn't texting. He wasn't on TikTok. He wasn't on a dating website. He wasn't doing something flippant and casual. He ended a phone call and continued driving. Those are the facts as have been presented to me. As I have driven to court, I think about Keegan a lot as I drive on the road, on the freeway. I think about what it would be like if, as I drive down the road to my home, if somebody suddenly darted out. Am I going so fast that I couldn't respond? And I think about what 13 seconds feels like. And so I have, on multiple occasions, set a timer. I ask Siri to set a timer while I'm driving. And I think about how far I go and at what speed. And so I haven't drawn that conclusion lightly. I know that if the prosecutor's office had evidence to support that he had a phone in his hand, or that he was texting, or that he truly was distracted, he would be charged with a felony. I have to trust the charging decision that has been made by the prosecutor's office. And so I'm left with moving violation causing death. When I watched the video last week of Payton's mom in her car that was sent to me, I was struck by how insensitive and flippant that was. You've known that these people are in excruciating, exquisite pain. And you're not on trial, and you didn't commit the accident. But to do that was like pouring salt into a gaping, gaping wound. And my hope is that moving forward, you think before you get in your car and you casually post a video of yourself going to the grocery store for Friendsgiving, acknowledging that you know it's against the law. What an unnecessary, careless thing to do. I know that you people have had to see Payton on social media. Not everything is on social media. And I do believe, that there is a pain and anguish inside of him. I do. I think his nightmares at night, replaying the moment he hit Keegan, will stay with him. They wake him up. Many people who wrote in letters of support for you, Payton, described the ways that this has impacted him. And that's not portrayed on videos posted to YouTube. But I have no doubt that in Payton's private moments, he is replaying this moment over and over and over again. I saw somebody get hit by a car when I was in high school with my mom. It happened right in front of us. We lived in Orlando, Florida, and I wasn't behind the wheel. But I, as a bystander, remember that. I can see it happening right in front of us. My mom behind the wheel. A woman was crossing International Drive, and we were in the drive-thru at the Dunkin' Donuts. And it was a horrific accident. And I know, because as a bystander, I see it. I think what happened. I don't have any answers. But I know that that is happening 100-fold for Payton. And his hunting and fishing videos don't show it. But I do believe, based off of what people have wrote in and what I've heard about who he was as a person, that he will be haunted by this for the rest of his life. I do. I don't think Payton is a bad person. I don't. I think that there is nothing I can do to help alleviate any of the anger and the pain. And fairness doesn't really have a place in the court system. It really doesn't. Fair would be bringing Keegan back. Letting him have Christmas this year with Olivia and Riker and Nora. That's the reality. So, I have a horrific crash. I have the conclusions of law enforcement that speed was not a factor, that he wasn't actually driving distracted, because if he was, it would have been a different charge. So, the recommendation from the pre-service investigation report was that Payton be placed on 12 months of probation, that he will participate in counseling, therapy, or programs as directed by probation, pay all the fees for those, and provide proof of continued attendance. That he shall complete 360 hours of community service, that he have no direct or indirect contact with the Spencer family. That's not exactly what I'm going to impose. Payton, I'm placing you on probation for 2 years. You shall participate in counseling. You shall complete 500 hours of community service. You shall have no indirect or direct contact with the Spencer family. You will have a year in jail suspended over you. If you violate your probation, a year in jail will be imposed. There is a $2,000 fine. Restitution is also going to be ordered. Because I don't have the documentation of how much Keegan's funeral cost, I can't impose that. But as soon as that is provided, you will be responsible for covering all of Keegan's funeral costs. Your license is suspended for a year. Once you do have the ability to drive, I will consider it a violation of your probation if you commit a single traffic infraction. A minor speeding ticket will be construed as a violation of your probation. While you're on probation, you may not use alcohol, controlled substances, marijuana, abuse prescription drugs. You will be subject to random testing for those substances. that will be at your expense. You will be required to take every distracted driving class and safe driving class that is available to you. Do you have any questions for me?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Holmstrom, is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.